Oh man, we are live with another episode of Cafe Crash. I'm your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am here with the amazing Brad Stabio. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I am heavily caffeinated. Can't you tell?
I can always tell that, yeah.
I know. It's just, Dan's got the good shakes.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I hadn't drank all my coffee earlier. I could be on your level. I'll just stick with my water.
That's good. Stay hydrated. It's probably healthier. You know, I'm sure I've got a palpitation problem at this point. Brad, how are you doing? How's Monday treating you?
Monday's good. You know, spring break for the kids is next week, so get some skiing in. Sounds like they got some snow in the mountains, and you know, just staying busy with work. So I'm in between a couple big projects, but starting to do some pre-production on some stuff for some clients. Yeah.
Sweet. So we know you as a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your background, you know, where you came from and how you got into filmmaking.
Yeah. You know, I'm born and raised, well, until I was about 8, from Montana. We moved to Colorado, grew up in Littleton. I went to CU Boulder, kind of not having any idea what I wanted to do, but I grew up doing a lot of theater and performance and singing, but I knew that wasn't where I really wanted to go. So I went into college not knowing what I wanted to do. I took film as an elective my sophomore year, and it clicked. It brought all this stuff together and that I loved. And so, you know, that's kind of how it started. I went through film school, graduated in 97, which is dating me here, but came out, did some small things for a couple of years, and then got Avid certified on the Avid Edit system.
Oh,
and,
cool.
Yeah, worked for a couple production companies for a year, and had a lot of people that were bringing me work to take to them, and I just decided, you know what, it's time. I just wanted to do it all myself. So at 25, I went out on my own, started Stabio Productions, and here we are 20 years later.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow. I
know.
So you've been rocking this thing for just a short while.
Yes. You know, I got into it as an editor, and that's kind of like what it's like, what's the saying? The Japanese say that 10,000 hours makes you a master.
Yeah,
I would never call myself a master when it comes to filmmaking or video, because there's so much to learn, but that's kind of like where I built my business, and that's how I became a director, and that's how I became a producer, is because I had this base of editing to build things on, and then start, you know, I was shooting little bits as I went and gaining my own clients and starting to buy gear until, you know, and it just kind of built up and built up and built up. So that's kind of like you build the foundation, and now I'm lucky enough to have, you know, some really good clients in a lot of different areas in Colorado.
Cool. Then, you know, with that, I mean, you're focusing on a lot of corporate videos, things of that nature, but you're still also doing your own productions, you know, documentaries and narrative films. One pays for the other.
Yeah, mostly. Like for me personally, I feel like to call yourself a filmmaker, you have to get paid to do it. Right. It's like whether you make something and someone buys it, or someone pays you to make something for them, or you collaborate with them, or whatever it is. And really, I didn't feel like it was till I was about 40 that I really felt like, okay, now I'm not just making stuff with friends or hoping that it goes somewhere, or, you know, releasing it online and it gets 20 views. It was like, now people are paying me to do it. So really, like my 2 latest large projects were paid for by larger organizations for me to make. And so that makes me feel great, because I can pay the bills to make films. And then also, you know, now I can still take on smaller projects that I am passionate about and do that myself and pay for it myself. And it's not necessarily taking away from, you know, paying bills and having a family of 3 kids and, being able to have fun and do cool things. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. The, growing up, what were your biggest influences?
I think I've always loved filmmaking. Like, I've always loved the film world. I've always been very into movies. I think actually my biggest influences, though, are from my background in singing and theater, I think.
Okay.
I grew up and I was in a children's choir that was like a professional children's choir that traveled all over the world. So I learned a lot about like music and timing and performance and being on stage as a young kid, and then took that into high school and college. And I did some, but then, like I said, I found filmmaking. I was like, this is bringing all these things together. Yeah. And then when it comes to, actual filmmakers that have had huge influences on me, I'd say like the French New Wave was a huge one for me, particularly early. I'm trying to think of his name. I'll think of it. It's just
okay.
Floating my mind, because it's not Godard or Truffaut. It's so. Jean-Pierre Melville.
Oh,
I love Jean-Pierre Melville. Like, huge influence. I love his stuff. Like I told you offline, I really like Japanese cinema.
Yeah,
I've always been big in Kurosawa, and but on a smaller scale and on a documentary scale, which is kind of what I'm in right now, D.A. Pennebaker. It was a big influence. He came to our school and film school, and got to have dinner with him and meet him and his wife. Yeah. And they did some amazing films. And Frederick Wiseman, just a lot of it was just about the theory of why they did things and fly on the wall approach to avant-garde like documentary filmmaking and stuff like that. So, and then also, I think, just in terms of coming from kind of a background from Montana and ranchers and a driving family, I just think hard work has been the biggest influence on me. Is like, put in your time, work hard, be a good person, and be someone that people want to work with. And that's one of the biggest. I think talent is 25%, and being nice and being easy to work with is a huge part of being successful.
I agree, especially with, when you're working with productions like this, so many different people you need to interface with, so many different talents and skill levels. If you're not being, kind and generous, nobody's going to want to work with you. And even more so that, that's going to carry over to the next job. And somebody's going to say, oh, that Dan Crosier, he's no good. Well, right. We all know. But yeah, you definitely want to put that best foot forward, I would think.
Right. Yeah, because word of mouth. People are like, how do you advertise? It's all word of mouth. Because I enjoy working with people, and most of my clients are my friends and people that I enjoy working with. And when you find that person that you don't really gel with, it usually just doesn't work out. And you have to be able to kind of let that go, because otherwise it's just too much heartache because I think as creatives, we really take our work seriously, and we need to be working with people that complement that as well. So
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, at least until you get to make your own samurai movie, right?
Hey, I like what you're talking about right now. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to play a clip. It's the one, I think it's one of your most recent, trailers for a project that you're working on about, I think it was a burn victim. Can you set that up?
Yeah, sure. No, we completed that about a year and a half ago. And it's about Dave Repture. It's a approximately 40-minute documentary about him and his life. And so in 2015, like July 3rd, 2015. He's a Flight for Life nurse, and the helicopter made it about 50 feet in the air up in Summit County and crashed because of a rotor issue. And when it crashed, there's an old like 1970s design for this helicopter. It's a new helicopter, but they've never changed this design. And the fuel line runs from the inside, and it ruptured. It doused him in gasoline and set him on fire. And so it was something where he should have survived the crash with just a couple broken ribs. And instead, he spent a year in the hospital with third-degree burns over 90% of his body. And so the documentary was something that I produced, and I was the director of photography on. And I worked with Mike Mazzanti, who was the director and editor, and he and I spent about 2 years putting this film together. And yeah, so it's kind of a really personal story for me, because I actually got to know Dave after his accident through another fundraising event that I did some videos for him, and then I ended up helping make this documentary, and then it's ended up winning audience favorite and Human Spirit Award at Breckenridge Film Festival, and it won the best short subject film at the Denver Film Festival just this last year. So that was kind of like one of those bucket list things for me, to win anything at the Denver Film Festival, just because I love those people and I love that festival so much. So so we're really excited about it.
That's cool. Yeah. Let's we'll get this going here.
Okay.
If you're 90% burned and you have no idea what the prognosis is going to be, what your potential recovery is going to be, and how long it's going to take.
Emergency. Go talk her down.
He was on the brink of death from the beginning, honestly.
And the last thing he said before we put him out was, "Tell Amanda that I love her." I didn't know how he was going to make it.
On December 14th, I woke up and I was scared to death. I felt like I had to make a choice every day. It's like, do I just lie in bed, or do I get up and keep fighting?
And I said, as long as he's fighting, I'm right here fighting with him.
Nice.
Thank you.
Wow. That's both, heartbreaking, him having to go through that, and then, but to kind of showcase the human spirit,
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean,
that will to persevere against all odds.
It's when you talk about against all odds, like there's literally, the guy had 6 months where at least 2 or 3 times a week the doctors would tell his wife, he's probably going to die tonight, so you need to prepare yourself. Yeah. So but what really got him through was her. She's also was an ER nurse, and then was working as a liaison with health insurance companies to help people navigate that process. And so she was able to advocate for him through the whole process. And she knew him so well that she was able to say, hey, something's going on. You guys got to get in here. Right. So, but the story is amazing. It's an amazing love story, amazing story of survival. And really, we were just one of those once in a lifetime, falls in your lap. You're there at the right time in the right place type of thing, So,
yeah, it's amazing how many, as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, how many, just, unique and at the same time, heart-wrenching, stories are out there, because everybody's got their own, right?
Sure. I think if you're a good filmmaker, you probably make a film about anyone, because everybody has something awful that's happened in your life, right? So it's just, you just have to figure out the right angle. So yeah.
Right. The when you're doing this kind of work, doing personal storytelling, and then balancing out with more of the the business and the corporate, video work too. How do you balance those? Do you attack both of them at the same way, or what's?
So I will say, so like back in around 2013, and so it was sort of between like 2010 and 2013, I was focusing too much on my own personal projects with like that I was doing with people that I collaborated a lot, but we were funding it ourselves. We weren't making any money on it. It was just to submit to some festivals, like I said, and it's kind of early in the Vimeo time and early in not early in the internet necessarily, but it kind of felt early in this, like, I want to go viral, right? Everyone wanted to go viral. But I was putting too much money into that and not into my work. Whereas like now, like this film was funded all by UC Health. He was a UC Health client. I've been doing UC Health work for several years. And so and also my connection to Dave Repture made it so it made sense that I helped with this project. And so, so luckily that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm able to do really great stories and get paid to do it. And then I don't have to juggle. And that's something that I think really, like, having kids and, family, and like when you're living paycheck to paycheck for a while, and then you're kind of like, okay, I can't pay the bills. I have to focus on my work. It's like I've really, since 2013, put my foot to the gas and on work and really focused on that. And now it's kind of paying dividends on both ends so that I can do both and get paid to do it.
That's awesome. And, with the kids too, then you can bring them and put them to work.
Yeah, no. I like, my 12-year-old, he loves helping out on shoots and stuff. So when I can bring him, I do. So that's really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's pretty fun. So with the kids too, they're learning how to edit and do stuff like that with you.
Sure. Oh yeah, they, that was a lot of pandemic activity, was making little films about our geckos and flying I flew my drone around the neighborhood from her house to have her friends wave to it, and she had a little film about the neighborhood, and my son. Whenever something comes up with a project at school, everybody's like, you know how to do this stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Doing all the work. I'm like, well, that's just how it goes, bud.
Yeah, just wait till he gets into stop motion or something.
Yeah, right.
One frame at a time there, fella.
They've tried some of that for sure, and it's like you just have to be patient, Yeah. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, it's got to be fun being a kid, in your house. You're a filmmaker. You're also a fan of film and stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, what?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a nerd for Star Wars and Star Trek and the Marvel universe and dissecting all that stuff with my kids, and it's a lot of fun. And like I love all the animated series, and so and I'm kind of like gauging with my 12-year-old boy, like when's good to start watching certain movies, because we've gone through all the Road Warrior movies, and he loved them, absolutely loved them, and so who knows what's next.
Yeah, just wait until you get to you got Alien, got the Predator.
Oh my gosh, like he's so interested in Alien and Terminators and stuff like that. Oh yeah.
The later films, that'll be a lot easier because those Terminator films are like PG-13 anyway. So
yeah, well, I don't know if I'll show him those. I'll let him figure out those.
True. Yeah, the better ones are the ones that mommy and dad won't let you watch.
Right. And then when he's about 40, I'll start the Takashi Miike films.
Man, yeah. I started those in art school. That was still too young for me.
Which one? Just in general.
So like Audition or Dead or Alive. Man, E.T. the Killer.
Yeah. Gozu, yeah.
Oh, Gozu's. That I shared that with Elise, and she really liked that. She liked Gozu a lot.
Well, for anyone watching, if you like David Lynch on crack, go watch Gozu, because Anyways.
That is a good way to describe it, because that's pretty much what that is.
Right.
Oh man, so you mentioned during the pandemic, you're working with your kids, showing them how to use camera and editing and create your own films at home. But you're also working on a docu-series, is that right? About kind of the like the Central Park neighborhood?
Yeah. So, it's like, here we are, we're all locked down, and there's all the Black Lives Matter protests and activists and stuff. And like, I'm very supportive of that. And I'm trying to think about what I can do, like what's my thing that I can do to maybe make any kind of difference in anyone's mind. It's like, if you can change one person's mind,
right,
then you're at least trying, right? So, so I contacted a friend of mine, and she lives in our neighborhood as well. And her name's Sarah Blanchard, and she has a podcast called Dear White Women. And that podcast is a lot about race issues. And,
cool.
And so she and I talked about it, and I said, I would really like to do something, like interview some of our African-American neighbors and talk to them about their experiences in white America, right? And in our neighborhood in particular, because it's a predominantly white neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We found 4 neighbors that, like, I knew 2 of the 4 because they live fairly close to us, and we say hi and stuff. But it was very eye-opening, and it was great conversations, and and it's something that we hope to continue. So, yeah,
that's cool. Let me excuse me. Well, let me play that clip too.
Yeah, great.
My life, I don't use that word at all. When I was younger, we used it as a term of endearment, and we were all in the Black community, and it was definitely, we used it a lot. But then I went to college, I got educated, I grew up a little bit, and I said, you know what? We need to take this out of our vocabulary, period. It shouldn't be a term of endearment amongst Black people. It should just be a word that we don't use. So the first time I was called the N-word was, man, this is crazy. I had to be 7. I was walking from an elementary school, walking home from Montview Elementary School, which is in Aurora Public Schools right now, walking home with a young lady that lived close to my neighborhood. And we were both walking home together, young children. And someone opened their front door and came out and screamed at the girl that I was walking with. She was a young white girl. And said, hey, you don't need to be walking with that N-word. And said, you come here right now. And I just looked like, what is going on? I had no idea what was going on. So then I didn't know if this was, I knew her well, I didn't know if this was an incident where I should call the police, or in our neighborhood, we had those little symbols in your neighborhood that says this is a safe place for elementary school kids if there was an incident. I didn't know if I should run to one of those houses or what, but I stopped and froze and waited. And saw a house with the orange sticker at the time that said safe for elementary school. And I was getting ready to go to the house because I thought they were trying to abduct her or something. I just didn't really understand what was going on. So I stood there, and then the girl left and came back to me, and I was like, what happened? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, that person is racist. She told me I shouldn't be walking with you because you're a Black person. And I said, wow. And we just kept walking. So then I told my mom what happened, and she said, okay, well, we need to have this conversation. And we started to talk about what that word means. So we went through that experience, and it was, you grow up. That's when you grow up. You realize that life is not quite like the Sesame Street and a lot of the children's shows that you saw, that life is a little bigger than that. It was eye-opening. So that was my first experience. In our home right now, we don't use it at all. Even my son, he knows we don't use that word, and I explained to him why. When my kid was first called the N-word, I think it was surprising for him because at the time, I think he was a little surprised that someone would look at him that way, and not see him for who he is. Because in our family, we talk about your moral compass and your work ethic and what's built on the inside, and that's how people should value you. So for him, living that kind of life, to have someone look at his physical appearance and say that word or use that word in his reference was like, wow, that's so shallow, or it just didn't make sense because that's not how he's made. He has heard it for sure, and he has heard it used in his direction. I think he sees it as the person that's using that language towards him is obviously ignorant and not worth my energy, which I can respect that from him. He's a good kid. If a kid's acting like that towards him, it's like, well, obviously you're ignorant and probably your family's ignorant, so I'm just gonna stay away from you. Yeah. At this point, with what's going on in our community, it is the topic of discussion. I mean, racism is all around us. Like, we're talking about it a lot, every day, all day. So less of a surprise now, I think. Now he's seen the George Floyd video, which I was trying to keep from him, but he saw it. Ahmaud Arbery, he ran with me for him. So he's seen it, he knows what's going on, but as far as in his community, I would say he would just stay away from someone who would use that language and categorize it as an ignorant person.
Wow, that is that's definitely eye-opening. Yeah, what was it like, working on that for you?
It was good. I think one of my biggest hesitations was, how is a middle-aged white guy from white communities that really has no experience with what someone of color goes through in our country every day, how can I tell these stories? But in doing these interviews, it was very interesting because, like, another person that we interviewed, he's 6'4" Black man, like, and someone that has done like experiences it daily, because people just walk by him and they're scared of him, right? And he physically cried after we talked, and just said, it just feels good to not only talk about these things that we don't talk about, but also, like, the Black community has been telling the white community or just in general, everybody, like,
yeah,
that people of color and minorities in our country have been going through this, and no one's listened. And it's time for us as white people to say, we are the ones that have to tell these stories, because no one's listening, and so we all have to do it together. And so it's been a really interesting and cool thing to work on. And like I said, I just hope a few people might change their mind about how they go about their day and how they interact with people, because it can really affect someone else's day and life in general. So
yeah, this last year has been incredibly eye-opening for me, learning about a lot of what a lot of my Black friends go through.
Sure.
Learning how they have to sit down with their kids and talk to them about how they how they encounter police, but also me, like, if I've got one of my Black friends with me, and there's some type of interaction with a cop or with the authorities, how that reflects badly. My decisions can reflect badly on them.
It's interesting. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
It's mind-boggling that they have to deal with that. And
right. And yeah, it wasn't until just in the past 3 years that I even realized how bad it was for people, right? And so, and then coming to a head last year, it was like, time to do something. So, I figure our superpower as creatives is to use our art to try to do what we can to bring light to a situation. And so that's what I'm hoping I can do in any way I can. So,
that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for doing that. And I think that's that's definitely a real service, and these stories need to be told and retold.
Yeah, and if anyone's looking for it, it's just voicesfromnextdoor.com. You can see a lot more.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the comment section. Voices from
voicesfromnextdoor.com. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Sweet.
All right. So that's in the comment section, and Dee Dee just commented, enjoying the video, Brad.
Oh, that's my aunt. Hi, Dee Dee. Thanks. She's always a big cheerleader of mine. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. When you moved, to Littleton, did you grow up around her, or
she's also from Montana and lived up there, and she and her husband worked and owned a restaurant in Lewistown, Montana, and moved to Denver in, I don't know, about 10 years ago. I don't know, longer than that, right, Dee Dee? But still, for us, it still feels new almost. But yeah, no, when I grew up, she still lived in Montana.
Cool. Dee Dee, get back to us on that.
She will.
Nice. It sounds like you have a wonderful support system, both professionally, personally, friends, your neighborhood. That's amazing. I think that's something, too, that I think as communities, we really need to engage with as many different people as possible to really, unify and help. It's a good way to help bring about, positive change too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it with people in person, soon.
Yeah. What right now during the pandemic, what's it like, actually, shooting these projects?
It's just about safety and social distance and masks in particular, and washing hands, and cutting down on the crew, and just being safe. It seems to be working fairly well. And whether it's a small 2-person crew or a large one, it's like we just try to know where we're walking into, talk to the people that we're shooting with, and make sure they know that we are planning to be as safe as possible, and we expect them to as well, or else we won't be there, right? So I've actually, turned down a few jobs over the past 9 months since shooting resumed, and where I didn't feel like people were going to be safe, and said, you know what, if you're not going to be safe, then we're not going to be there. So
Right. Dee Dee is just got back to us. 17 years in Denver.
Oh my gosh, 17.
Great, loving person. Thanks, Dee Dee.
I knew it was a lot more than 10. But like I said, it's like, they lived so long in Montana, and it's been awesome to have them in Denver.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. The we talked a little bit about some of the projects that you've got going on, some of the projects that you're looking to do now with the corporate stuff. A lot of times people look at that stuff and it's like, oh, creatively, it can be kind of crushing. But is there a way that you can really put yourself in there and really challenge, give yourself a good challenge that keeps you really invested creatively?
I mean, truthfully, for me, video filmmaking and whatever it is challenging no matter what. Whether you're just going to do an interview like you just saw, like they're all just interviews with no additional shots, no B-roll, and so. No matter what, for me, like, I feel like that's another key to success for those people looking, working their way up in this business is you can't see any job as lower than the other. It's kind of like if you say yes, then you are on the hook for something good. Yeah. And so you have to find the story in it, whether it's a training video about, making screws in a warehouse, or whether it's a story about a burn victim, you have a story to tell and you have to do the best job you can. And it's a challenge on every level. And so really like what we do here, Sean and I take an approach of like, you get to a certain point with the video and then you have to say to yourself, what's the next step with that? How do you make it better, right? Or you're setting up an interview, you say, what's the next step? Well, how can you make it better for your skill set? You know, it's like maybe you don't have the skill set, but you could still maybe, you know, add that little thing in the background or, you know, so this is an extremely difficult job to be in. And I think it gets romanticized a lot about how awesome filmmaking is, but it's, you know, it's a lot of schlepping around of gear. It's a lot of setting up and moving around stands. And there's a lot of knowledge about very little small details, and you're learning every single day. And so you just have to try to do the best you can. And so that's why, like, I just think that I love every aspect of it. And so I'm lucky to get to do it.
That's cool. Doing film production, you're wearing a lot of hats.
Right. And you're relying on a lot of other people. And so that's another reason. It's like you want to have good people around you and you want to work your butt off and you know, like I said, you start and you just build, you know, you build and build and build until now, you know, you're lucky enough to have people, you know, like you get people to pay you to do murals, you know, but I'm sure it took you a long time in getting your artwork out there before you got that. So.
Oh yeah. Luckily there's Instagram too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's things that help for sure. I'm still figuring that out. I have not gotten any work from Instagram yet.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'll show you.
Yeah, please do.
Let me help you. When it comes to production, like, you know, is there an aspect of production or, you know, something, you know, in the creative process that you absolutely love that, you know, that you can do, you know, just by yourself?
Being for kind of a one-man band for a long time, I have to do every aspect myself.
Right.
And luckily now I have an employee that, like, he and I collaborate on everything and really work well together. Yeah, Sean and I work well together, but for, you know, for 18 years, 19 years, it was kind of building things myself. And then even now, it's like, as I have budgets, it depends on how much money a client has. I'll bring in other people to do other aspects. So, you know, I've had to learn everything from producing, directing, shooting, lighting, editing, promoting, like, and I'd say that it, like I said, I think like we were talking about before, like the editing part was something that I really built myself on and I feel really good about, but the other things I'm still learning. You know, there's so many aspects of all these things. Lighting and shooting, it took me 15 years before I felt like I was really comfortable with that. It's so difficult. And then there's still a lot of aspects to that I need to rely on other people for, because I can't walk into a studio as a director of photography and say, okay, get those, you know, low boy stands and scoops up and, you know, give them to 50%. And, you know, I'm more like, I want to walk in and have someone else say that, and I can say, yeah, that looks good.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but, you know, I've been lucky enough to direct a lot of films and a lot of short films and a lot of documentary films, and I really enjoy directing as well. And you know, get to control a lot of stuff on the production, so it's fun. Yeah.
That's cool. That's where, you know, being nice to people really, you know, pays off, because then they can pull up on your shortcomings and you know, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, as much as I have had to do things myself, I prefer to work with other people and have that collaboration, and everything's better when you have good people that are creative working together. So that always rises the boat, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it lifts all the ships. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So another clip I really enjoyed. You did a project. I think it was with is it UH Health? Is that right?
UC Health.
UC Health. I'm sorry.
It used to be University of Colorado.
Yeah.
And now that they're affiliated but separate, so it's UC Health, the hospital network. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you did something with a lot of the Colorado-based mascots for some of the big sports teams.
Yeah. And I know somebody that helped me with the storyboards on it too.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that's right. I forgot I worked on that, didn't I?
You did. That's been a
while ago. Yeah. I'm glad my stick figures helped you out.
Yeah, right. No, they were better than that. So no, they needed to do some promotions with because they have partnerships with all the local professional teams. Right. So we got all the mascots together in a stadium, and then we did like one in a boxing ring, and got to do some fun stuff to promote health science before the Summer Olympics, the last Summer Olympics. So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Let me play that clip real quick here.
Sure.
That's fun. Yeah. Hopefully those mascots weren't prima donnas or anything.
Oh my gosh, they were all amazing, like such cool people. And like there's a few that they stay in character the entire time. And there's a few that as long as there's no kids around, they'll talk to you a little bit, but it's really fun to work with them. And they're professionals. They do these engagements all the time and work with film crews all the time. But they were all really cool. And and that's one of those things where we had several camera people and lighting and, craft services. And, even though they're really short clips, we made sure that they were high quality and stuff. So it was really fun to work with people. And my longtime good friend from film school, Brooke Aitken, it has been he and I have worked together, collaborated for a long time. And he's like one of the top cinematographers in Colorado. For Academy Award winning film The Cove about dolphin slaughter. He was the DP on that, and so he and I work together on anything that I can afford to pay him on. I do it because he always brings that next level look and next level collaboration to everything that I do.
That's cool. It's great to be able to bring in old friends and stuff to work on projects together. It goes back to collaboration, rebuilding friendships and all that. Right. I think that's one of the funnest things to kind of congregate over is a creative project.
Sure, and that's been one of my social outlets.
Yeah.
During the pandemic is work, being able to bring friends in to help shoot a project for one of my clients and be able to come into the studio here at the building and stay socially distant but at least see some people.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's a big part of why I do this now.
Right, it's awesome. Longest conversation I've had in weeks.
Yeah. You also do your own, creative narrative pieces, stuff that you've storylined and scripted out by yourself too. I've seen
not by myself. Those are all collaborative as well.
True. But I've seen a couple of your short films over the years, like some of the stuff that you've done for the 48-hour film challenge. Is that
film project? Yeah,
film project. Yeah, and I mean that's an endurance test. Coming up with a concept, script, shooting it, editing it, all the post-production stuff, all within 48 hours. I mean that's nuts. For up and coming, filmmakers, would you advise that that's a good way to cut your teeth?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I feel like, there's 0.1% of those savants filmmakers that make it into Hollywood as a 21-year-old or something, right? So the 48-hour film project, I mean, it's an amazing way not only to collaborate and like work with people you love to work with, which is what I have like on all these. We did them for 15 years. We had a little bit of success, which has been great. But to cut your teeth and make a film in 48 hours, I think it shows you like what your strengths are, and but also just like if you keep doing it, like I think it's like don't just do one, do multiple of them, keep doing them, and like build your strengths, find your crew, find people that are young and work with. Like then you'll find those. Then you'll keep working with those people as you keep going on, because you'll say, this person rocked it, and I want to keep working with them. Yeah. And I know people that have started production companies that are successful based on doing 48-hour film projects with them for multiple years, because they've done exactly that. And for us, we had there's a group of friends that I met, and they're all sketch comedy writers and had a sketch comedy theater, and we started creating films out of their sketch comedy scripts that they weren't putting on stage, and then we started doing the fast filmmaking, they call it. So we had we won that several years. We did, and on the 48-hour film project, you win in Denver, then you go and you compete internationally against like almost 150 film winners across the world. So then there's a big film festival, and then they judge them, and then you see how you lay out. So, and we did fairly well in those, and we had one film screen at the Cannes Film Festival. And so, it's really, it's a cool thing, and there's some fun results out of it too. So we are hoping to do it again sometime.
That's cool. Yeah, make sure you rest up for that. I think you got to do some training, right?
Particularly like me, I get like 2 hours of sleep, whatever weekend that is.
Okay, so it's just par for the course.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Now, with this next clip, did this come out of some of those innovations? Working with your crew for such a long time?
Which clip are we watching?
50.
50. Yeah, this was a 40-hour film project film. Yeah.
And, no kidding. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we have a group. We call ourselves the Cinema Geeks, and that's been like that was our name of our group for all of these fast filmmaking films, and that's our team name. And so we use a lot of the same actors, and Brooke works on it as the director of photography, and I'm directing, and I produce with Kirk Anderson and Joe Movic, and then and Jeff Kozlowski, who's also a good friend and talented actor, and like we all work together on these films, and we sit down in a room on Friday night, we write it, we shoot it on Saturday, and edit it on Sunday, and turn it in and see how we do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. With this, can you set it up? What's this one about?
50 it's a story of a woman who's going to a used car lot or a junkyard to pick out parts to build her own dream car.
Oh, cool.
And then craziness happens. So I think where we pick it up is where the used car lot owner is trying to tell them a story, and something goes kind of awry. So
awesome. All right. Without further ado, 50.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, when Harry Houdini was performing in Budapest back in 1939, he met a man who claimed he was born centuries before in a faraway place called Orient. The Orient. And inside his pants were the directions on how to bring him back to life. Now this incantation, this incantation has never been spoken since.
Got a little something on your shirt.
My God, why couldn't you have just gotten me the car I wanted? I've been hinting for over a year.
You can't just buy a 1970 white Chrysler 300. It's a collector's car. You have to build one. This was the only way.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I picked that because I knew you would like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think that's the perfect way to end. End this episode is on that. I want to see you make horror movies.
Oh, I would love to make horror movies. Give me a script. Give me a script.
Oh, I do have scripts. I write. I dabble. I finger paint.
I know. Yeah, that one was just a blast to make, and that was another example of just being nice to people. We got there, and we had these plans, but we had no idea how we were going to do that ending, and we just asked, like, halfway through the day, we asked the owner of the place, we're like, can you crush a car for us? Because we this is kind of what we're thinking, and he's like, well, why don't I take my forklift and pick it up for you and then put it in? I'm like, that's great. He goes, well,
awesome.
How would I run into it? I'm like, that's even better.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I might rip the top off. I'm like, go for it. So, so it was awesome. And, and we're like, can we set off explosions? He's like, sure, go for it.
Yeah, whatever,
So it was just kind of like amazing. It was such a fun place to shoot.
That's cool. Don't put your eye out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and solid crew, amazing talent, working with people on no sleep too, and then being able to coordinate with the owner of that property, of that junkyard, just to get that amazing production value. I mean, that's absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, thanks. That was fun.
God. So yeah, when's the next 48 hour, and how do I sponsor you?
Hey, sponsor. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I don't know. It'll probably be it's usually in August. I don't, I think they did it all virtually this last year. We haven't done it in 2 or 3 years, but I know that everybody's jazzing to do it again, and I'm kind of feeling the same way after this last year. So.
I bet you guys got some itchy trigger fingers that you
for
want
sure.
to get back out and kind of rough and tumble it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's you got good people on all bases. It never always. sometimes it doesn't work out. We've had some films that have flopped horribly just because of the fact that it's in that time constraint, and we couldn't come up with an idea that day. Sometimes it just happens, but it's a lot of fun no matter what.
Yeah, that's cool. Brad, thanks so much for coming on the show and
thank you.
Sharing so much with
talk.
With your kids too. You're introducing them to a lot of stuff that you grew up on, Star Wars and all that and everything. And now some hopefully, one day they'll be able to enjoy some Lone Wolf and Cub movies.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Again, that's got to be just absolutely tremendous, to be able to be participating in that world, and then, have them, sharing in the pop culture that you enjoy so much.
Totally.
What a beautiful way to kind of unite family, to bring in friends and build a community over art.
Yes. Hey, yeah, it is good. It's great on all fronts, and I think my kids appreciate some of these things more. And also it's been, having little kids, you were like, it's not real. You know what I do, you can show them the process, and I think it helps them kind of go through okay, this is sad, but I know that those are actors, and I know that this isn't real. And so some things like that kind of help too.
Yeah. When we're able to go back to theaters, hopefully in full force or even in limited capacity, what are you looking forward to taking your kids to go see?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, just going to the movie theater, right?
Right.
Is going to be awesome. So, I think something that I'm kind of lamenting is the death of the movie theater right now. I think a lot of people, and even me, it's great to be able to sit at home, but then I sit and I watch an old movie, even something from 10 years ago, and I'm like, this movie is so good on the big screen.
Right.
And it was so good, and it was built to be on the big screen, and now we're watching it on our TVs, and I don't care if we have a 70-inch at home, it's just not the same. The sound isn't. I think the sound is such a big thing that people don't think about. Even with the surround system and stuff, you're just not getting the same bigness of these movies. And so I'm looking forward to that. Maybe someday they'll put The Mandalorian out on the big screen, and we can go there.
That would be cool. I saw a buddy of mine on Instagram. He's got a film podcast.
Yeah.
He was able to catch the new 4-hour Justice League on the big screen. I was like, I didn't even know they did that. So,
right.
Because the on HBO Max, it's formatted, for old for your old TV,
Right. Which it sounds like that was a decision made for IMAX versus because he wanted it to match his IMAX footage versus anything to do with 4:3, but still, it would be nice to be able to see those, that IMAX and on the big screen, because it would look a lot better for sure.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, Brad, thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, talking to you and learning a little bit more about all the cool things you do.
I know, and now I'm bummed. I asked if I could ask questions about you, and we're here at close to an hour, and I haven't done that. So
that's okay. People see me, probably twice a week on this thing. So
yeah. Well, if anyone's watching, they don't know Dan Crosier. He's an amazing artist, and go look at his stuff. Find him on Instagram too. So, and he's made films as well. So he's a filmmaker too. So that's why it's cool, and I appreciate you've got awesome questions, and it's been cool to talk.
Thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Hey, thanks.
You so sweet.
So nice. Yeah.
For everybody out there, go to Brad's website, go to stabioproductions.com, and see all the cool things that he's doing. And then also make sure to visit voicesfromnextdoor.com as well. and really engage in that docuseries. It sounds like it's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It needs to be.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I think that's like the one project where you asked me about making money versus, this is one that's like full passion project, and I wanted to get out there for sure. So
yeah, that's awesome. So today's episode is brought to you by Mutiny Cafe. Make sure your next revolution is caffeinated. All right. Cool.
Okay.
All right, Brad, thanks again. And to everybody out there, thanks for tuning in, and make sure you support each other, help each other out, bring communities together by doing cool creative projects if you can.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you thinking of me for this, and it was fun to talk, man.
Yeah, it was good chatting with you. To everybody out there, be good, be kind, help each other out, especially during these tough times. We love you. Brad, stick around for a few minutes, okay? All right. Have a good night, everybody.